Hey everybody, this is John Hiley with Dent Trainer Radio. This is our second show. We will be having guests Paul Kordon and Jeremy Lowlife Carroll. And we don't call him a lowlife because he's a lowlife. We call him that because he has some of the sweetest low-riding vehicles that a guy could possibly have. So this is our second episode here. We're going to touch on quite a few things. We're going to touch on some of the innovations within the industry. We're going to talk a lot about Paul and Jeremy's strengths in their segment of the paintless dent removal industry, and getting ready to bring on host Mike Toledo here in just a moment. And looks like I do have Paul Kordon on the line. Hey guys, like I said, we might as well just go ahead and get to it. Hey Paul, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing real well, sir. I think we just lost Mike there. He's having a little bit of problems with the Skype on his end, so he should be coming back in any moment. And it looks like we have Mike back on the line here. I'm going to go ahead and bring him in right now. All right, Mike, are you with me?
Yeah. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, dude, way, way better. That's great.
All right, cool.
And we got Paul Kordon's on the line with us, Mike.
Hey Mike.
What up, Paul? How you doing, man?
How you doing, brother?
Good, man. Good. I'm glad you can join us.
Yeah, man. It's going to be a good time. I'm glad to be here.
So what's going on? What we got going here, John?
Something that we had been talking about on our Facebook page, and yes, we are going to be giving away a Dent Trainer shirt to the individual who, came up with the answer after we talk and we decide. And the very end of this, we're going to talk about what the greatest innovation within the paintless dent removal industry is. And I'd like to first off, Mike, give you a chance to talk. What do you feel within the last 10 years? What is the greatest innovations within the PDR industry?
Shoot, man, there's a lot, I would say. In the last 10 years, I would say, I'd say the LED lights were one thing. I would say, I think glue pulling's been around longer than 10 years, but I would say the products for glue pulling is definitely one of the top things for innovation. And the soft tip's been a long ways too, so I'm not going to go, that's been out there for a little bit, but I would say the top things for me personally is probably the LED lights and the glue tabs right now.
All right. Now, Paul, go ahead and elaborate. So what do you feel within the industry? All three of us here are big dent guys. And, a lot of us, Mike, he's been off on the hail trail before, and I know you get some hail down there where you're from, and you got a retail shop. With the retail shop and the big dent environment, for you, what has been some of the greatest innovations within the last 10 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll tell you, it's a tough question to answer. Like Mike, there's just been so much within our industry that's improved over the last 10 years. I would definitely, I'm tempted to say LEDs as number one, but I'll tell you, in my opinion, I think one of the biggest things that's been a game changer for me has been the interchangeable tip tools, a lot of soft tips, and kind of opened up a world for these really unique and niche tips that have come out that just do a phenomenal job at helping us to move metal really fast, especially a lot of metal really, really fast. And, that's been a huge one for me. But the LED lights, I'll tell you, that's a close one for number one. They have brought a new level of definition and resolution to the kind of work that we do, and being able to see the dents, and have made a huge difference. I'll tell you, seeing some of these guys experiment with colors and stripes and stuff on their LED boards, LED lights now, is really pretty phenomenal, pretty awesome to watch. And, I'm jealous of a few of them, but I'll tell you what, the LEDs have not done me wrong yet.
I typically agree with that too, and especially with the latest about the cordless ways how they do it. I know Carl Stuckey came out with one of the first cordless awesome fog. Now James Lee's got something going on with the Makita batteries and the Milwaukee battery, not Milwaukee, excuse me, the DeWalt batteries coming out soon. But you know what? I left something out, guys. I just wanted to jump in, but I would say Sal's Dent Dial. Okay, that has really helped me definitely saved some frustration on some big dents. We all know Sal, and if you don't know him, I'm sure you've seen him, but I mean, the guy's super passionate about his tool, and for me at the beginning, I wasn't impressed by it, because sometimes I judge things by the looks, and that just goes to show you. But it's an impressive tool once you understand how to use it. So I definitely thought that was definitely I think it's a game changer, especially if you're doing big dents. And I use it a lot on front fenders too.
Right.
Agreed. Yeah, I'd have to say I'm with you on that, Mike. Ironically enough, I have an older version of the dent dial that came to me secondhand without any of the tips or the adjustments. So I'm flying light on my dent dial. I gotta get with Sal and get a number of those tips and start using that thing a little bit more. But when I do use it, it truly is a game changer. You're right.
Yeah, and then there's the other version, which is the Anaconda too. So I mean, me personally, since we're talking about tools on that type of bar, people ask me, hey, what should I get? Should I get the Anaconda? Should I get the dent dial? I see you have both, Mike, and yada yada. I tell the flat bars now these days are like rods. You're going to need different lengths. You're going to need different stiffness. You're going to need different usages. So it's not just one type. You're going to end up collecting different bars for different uses. So that pretty much answers the question on that.
All right, guys, and I think I do have Jeremy on the line now. Can you hear us, Jeremy?
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing? I snuck him in there in the middle of that conversation, so he's heard a lot of that, guys. And so let's go ahead and let Jeremy elaborate. Within the last 10 years, Jeremy, what do you feel is some of the most innovations that have happened in the PDR industry?
Man, glue pulling. I mean, when I first got into it, I guess 2001, that stuff was new. Every year there's somebody else come in and do something bigger, different tab, different pullers. That would be the first. I just got turned on to the Anaconda. That's a really great tool to use on big dents. The sharp tip tools, the PDR finesse tools.
Right.
I come back into Hale, I guess, in 2011. I took a hiatus for about 5 years and come back into it, and these LED lights, and I didn't know none of this stuff existed, and now, I'm back in the full swing of doing Hale and doing route, and doing it all, so I'm just getting as much new stuff as I can get.
Right. Now, let me tell you something. One of the interesting responses that we got when we asked that question on our Facebook page, and I'm going to tell you guys, we got several people on hold right now, guys, so we're going to get to some callers here eventually, so just hang tight, listen to the show, and we'll bring you on. But one of the things that I was impressed that some of the guys said was the greatest innovation was that our connection through social media.
Oh, yeah. That's
a great
true.
point.
And
for sure.
Some of the guys were talking. Yeah, I mean, some of the guys were talking about like how now we have never been so connected as an industry. I mean, we got new nonprofit organizations spurring up, and we've got people just sharing information at a rapid pace. So that's been a tremendous thing, in my opinion, in the industry. But what we're going to do, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the innovations within the industry, and then towards the end of the show, we're going to have to pick one, guys.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So there's got to be a winner here at the end of the contest. Now I want to, for the listeners out there that don't know, Jeremy Carroll is a very talented businessman, as is Paul Kordon as well, and both of them kind of tackle different facets of the industry. You got Jeremy that cracked into a wholesale market that was just mobbed with dent technicians, and he got in there and he cracked into it and penetrated into that wholesale industry, and has a big route. He also has hail damage crews that he sends out, and he sets up shop at retail locations. We do got Paul Kordon, who is a retail tech primarily, and does lots of big, nasty dents that we see him doing there. So we've got two facets right here. I mean, who would like to go first about talking about, their experience in the PDR industry and just talking a little bit about themselves?
Jeremy. I'll listen. Go. Me? You want me to go? I was going to say,
yeah.
I'll listen. I talk about myself all the time. I figure I'd listen to somebody else. No, I don't know. I mean, you know, it's one of those things. I started like around 01, 02. You know, I had a good friend that his brother has done PDR for like 17 years and kind of got me into it, and started doing hail. And I guess 07, you know, my little boy was born 06, 07. I come into this market, you know, here in the Tri-Cities, which is far east Tennessee, right near Virginia, where there's like, I don't know, 25 dent guys. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous in such a small area. And just really didn't know what I was wanting to do. Didn't know if I wanted to chase hail or, you know, do door dings, you know. Met my wife now here around that time and decided, hey, let's just take a crack at this door ding stuff. Didn't know how to price it. Didn't know to do nothing. I knew how to push dents. I knew how to fix hail. You know, that was all I really knew. And coming to the market and basically these dealers here, they never had somebody show up and do, you know, one of these big heavy hit cars. I'm talking something most guys will conventionally repair a whole hell car, you know, a $5,000-$6,000 hell car. Nobody here ever could do that. You know, so, you know, I come back in and the first, you know, really the first thing that happened was I got lucky, and a dealer that owned 2 or 3 franchises called me and said, hey, you know, we heard you were really good. You know, the body shops talk highly of you. We use so-and-so, you know, we're not happy with them. Could you come down? And they had a smoked hell car, and I did it. And it just kind of escalated. And then, you know, I seen that, well, maybe you can make money, you know, and I wasn't real thrilled about the pricing. You know, I mean, it's cheap, you know, you're doing panel prices, and I was used to doing hail. But then the more business I got, and the more the name goes out. And, you know, sooner or later, you know, you get more and more. And, you know, I just kept beating doors down. And really, with the wholesale market, you know, man, the wholesale market, it's hard because it don't matter how good you are, you know. It don't matter what you can do except for at that moment when a dealer says, hey, what can you do for me right now? Because yesterday don't matter no more, you know. It's only a right now market with this dealer market, so every day you just got to keep them happy, you know, do bigger stuff. And really, you know, if you're a cheap guy and you price your you know, do your stuff on, I'm the cheapest guy in town, you know, you're going to have that market, you know, that clientele, that cheap clientele. That's not what I do. You know, I go to these places that sell a lot of cars, that want the cars fixed, that sell a lot of service vehicles, you know, service jobs, PDR jobs, and want the stuff done right, and that's who I targeted. And it kind of spread, you know, managers change, and, you know, before you know it, you know, I went from doing 5 dealers to 20 dealers and having to hire guys and, you know, do different things, and that's kind of basically how it went in a real quick way, you know. I think it took about 5 years, and just do smash dents or, you know, hail damage or whatever, you know, and do, you know, as far as selling, you know, I just took a very aggressive approach, you know. If I want a dealer, I'll go 2 times a month until they either tell me to never come back, you're stalking me, or let me get in there and do something. That's basically.
Let me jump in there, Jeremy. And that's what I learned about you when I was you know, you and I talk lots of times on the phone, and you tell me how aggressive you are, and you know what? There's a lot of guys that aren't as aggressive as you are, and you have to be consistent, and that's what you are, and that's why you have those accounts that you have, and that's why you put in work. I mean, that's what it takes to get those accounts. Me personally, I hate doing dealerships, and honestly, I have a good retail account, but we want to listen to how you got those accounts. And I think you said something on that was very important, is that you were consistent and you went twice a month until they either gave you the work and said, all right, I give up, man, just here, just take the account, or just say, or say get out of here. But I think that's something you have to do, and you do it well.
Well, the main thing. When I try to tell people, ask me here, you know, other technicians will ask me here, well, how did you get this, and how did you get that, and how did you take this? And I said, well, man, you don't want to go too much. You don't want to you don't want to go every week. You don't want to go twice a week. You don't want to be a burden. You walk into at 9 o'clock and everybody's out of the meeting and everybody's running, you know, and nobody pays you any attention for 2 minutes. Leave, you know. Don't be a burden to them.
You know, come in, try to get a rapport with somebody, talk to a salesman for that, you know, and then another manager, and then, you know, if they keep giving you a cold shoulder, you know, I've been working on another Toyota account here for, I don't know, 6 months. Had it, lost it, you know, they're wanting to use their old guy. Their old guy, you know, he's an old guy. I mean, he's you know, way behind the times in the repairs that can be done and what, you know, we can do now. And they're loyal to him, and that's the dealers you want. Now, do I hate putting that guy out of business because all his dealers love him because he's been around for 30 years, but at the same time, there's a time in every business you just got to hang it up, you know, and with that, with anybody. I mean, and that's not me being cocky or arrogant, but it's just
right.
I'll take it. The way I look at that deal, you know, we do interior also, you know, and that's another way that I've got a lot more accounts is I'll put an interior guy in an account. That interior guy, I taught those guys how to sell. That interior guy will turn around and pull me into that account as soon as the dent guy slips, or for even example with paint, we do paint also, you know, bumper blends and touch-ups. It's the same way. When we united and all three of us come together and me and the paint business bought the interior business, then that made it that much easier to go in and watch everybody's back, you know. And that's been a way that we've grown, like this interior business that we bought, you know. It's grown substantially in less than a year. I'm talking turned it from a 2-dealership deal into a 20-dealership deal in less than a year because we do so many dealers as a group now, you know, with me and the painters, that we can pull the interior guys in or they can pull us in. And that's the best way to do it, you know, is by knowing people and networking and all that. I mean,
well, that's terrific.
Dealers, you know.
Hey, Jeremy, let me. I got a couple callers on here. And I just want to tell you guys to hold on here because we're gonna bring you in. I want to give Paul and Jeremy a chance to kind of give us some of their background. And, you know, Jeremy, I used to do dealers as well. Something I want to point out to some of the guys out there who haven't cracked into any accounts, get a hold of the used car manager. Find out that guy's name. I don't care if you get a call in there and act like you're you met the guy and you check their websites. Find that guy's name. That's who you want to ask for when you walk in there usually. I want to go ahead and, Jeremy, if you don't mind, I'm going to give Paul a chance to elaborate and just talk about Paul, talk about how you got in the industry, how long you've been in the industry, and kind of what's brought you to where you're at today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me say, nice to meet you, Jeremy, even if it's over the phone. Love your story, man. That's pretty cool.
You too, bro.
I'm now looking at about 15, 16 years in the industry. I started in 99 with a local company here in Northern Virginia. And basically started as a route guy, took over an area that was a one-man operation, kind of built it up, and built it up to about a 3-man operation. And then 2008 rolled around. The economy kind of tanked a little, and we lost a couple of big accounts. So I found myself in the middle of a restart. And instead of restarting an hour away from home, I decided to do it close to home.
Hey.
Yeah. Which is right. It's.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Keep on going. I was checking a screen function on this. I thought I could talk to one of our call people while you guys were talking, but it's not working that way. So.
No problem. No problem.
Keep on going.
Yeah, so I restarted over again, closer to home, which was cool, and that kind of left me where I am today, which is I'm in a retail shop in an area of Virginia called Tyson's Corner. It's kind of a major hub. It's right on the Capitol Beltway, just about, I would say, 10 to 12 miles from the D.C. border. And it's a very affluent area, a lot of headquarters of major businesses, a lot of government contract companies, things like that. Our county, the county I live in, has an average median income of about 120 a household. So it's a very affluent area with a lot of cars and a lot of high-end cars. And as we speak today, I'm a full-time retail tech at a shop there in the middle of Tyson's Corner. My building is directly behind the Aston Martin, Bentley, McLaren of Tyson's. And the word on the street is they're bringing in Bugatti and Lamborghini, too. So that gives you an idea for the affluency and the clientele that I have to work with there, which is good and bad. It's good because you work on great cars, mostly newer models of cars. The tough part about it is that I had to learn how to get the majority of my repairs to a very, very high standard of, finish. The quality of finish had to be really high. But I love that challenge because it really has forced me to become a better dent guy and take each of my dents to as far as I can take it. And the interesting thing, I love the talk about the wholesale market that Jeremy was just talking about. I have a slightly different situation where I service, at this point, I service two, let me think about this. I service 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 local dealerships right there in that area, only one of which I do the wholesale. And they allow us to bring the cars to the shop. So I have a guy that runs cars back and forth. And that one wholesale account is a new thing. It's part of a company that is offering a complete reconditioning package, and they just happen to be subbing the dent work to us. We have yet to see how that's going to pan out. But the only other wholesale account is a dealership that only calls me when they sell a car that has dents that they need done or a car with big dents. And the interesting thing about that is I find that because of the quality of the work that we've had to produce and the size of the dents, obviously you guys are probably somewhat familiar with that part of my industry, the niche of a lot of big dents and kind of crushed stuff. It's kind of secured me in their minds as the guy to send the big, ugly, just got this from the auction and I bought it because I knew you could probably do something with it. And
right.
What's interesting about that is that's all they send me. They don't send me door dings. They don't even fix their door dings. They only fix the big, nasty stuff. But I got to be honest, I'm okay with that because, we're not pricing it for a per car or per panel price on that. It's really and as it comes and per the damage that we price it. And I'll tell you this, dealing with the used car manager there at the local Chrysler Jeep dealer, Dodge dealership, I've actually been paid on, they had a used Panamera with like a 40-inch crease. You guys might see some of the pictures floating out there on it. And I'm going to say they paid me like $1,600 to fix it. I mean, that's body shop prices, guys. We're talking about wholesale accounts that are willing to come off the money. Now, that's a unique situation. It was a trade-in. It's a Porsche Panamera. It's probably a $100,000 car, $90,000 car. And they knew that they didn't want to paint the car, and they knew it was aluminum and that it would be expensive. So they did the deal with me. But it would be one thing for me to tell you about that one win. But that particular dealership I deal with on that level on a regular basis. So it's interesting to me how I think the industry is changing in that way. I think even the wholesale accounts, the wholesale dealers and dealer groups are starting to realize the value of what PDR offers as opposed to the alternative, which would be conventional repair. And I think both the dealers and the insurance companies, at least from what I'm seeing, are starting to catch on. And we still have the edge because they're not really sure what to do with us. They just know that they need us. Or in some cases, they really want us, and they want us over conventional repair. So it's, I will tell you this, just to kind of even it out. The one new wholesale account that we're doing, I believe that we're getting paid $65 a car for the whole car, but we're paid on cars sold. So total number of units sold, not just the number of units that we touch. Right. So we may touch 20 cars in a month, but we get paid on 40, and it kind of, it balances itself out a little bit. However,
now how do you track that, Paul?
Well,
do you just rely on them to be honest with you, or do you have a system that can track that?
At this point, we only track the cars that we touch, and we are trusting the bigger company, who we actually have a personal relationship with through their management has been working with us for years prior to becoming the bigger company. And we work on an honor system with them to know how many total units they sold. And they're running a pretty open book situation. They're required to, so we have access to documents and information and data that we can substantiate everything that they tell us, which is kind of cool.
Hey, if you guys don't mind, I wouldn't mind to add in a caller about right now and see what they have to say. I got a gentleman, or I think it's a guy, but I really can't tell by looking at their phone number. But they've been holding for 23 minutes and 35 seconds, so I'm going to go ahead and bring them in and see if they got some questions about this conversation here. All right, you're live on air with Dent Trainer Radio.
What's up?
Hey, how you doing? Can you introduce yourself?
Hey, this is, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, this is Dan-O. I thought I was just listening in, but I guess I was on hold, man. So I just been listening to you guys. I'm fixing the car right now, so I'm kind of beating on some stuff and ripping the headliner down. So.
What's up, Dan on Trop? Dan-O-Dents.
Not too much, man. Just staying busy on the hail trail. So.
Right.
Hey, well, since we got you on there, and I'm familiar with you, Dan-O. So, Dan, I know you've been in the hail scene. You're kind of relatively new, but pretty successful at this lately. So, I mean, what can you tell the guys out there who are in the hail business and maybe getting into the hail business? What was the biggest hurdles your challenges that you had when you got in it?
The biggest challenge is to fix cars the right way, to be completely clean, and to be able to fix the damage now it's getting fixed, which is $5,000 cars are up. I've been doing hail full time for 4 years. There's not too many storms where you're fixing $1,000, $2,000 cars anymore, and I found that out real fast. So the big thing is kind of what you guys are explaining on the big dents and stuff like that. You just have to be able to fix everything that's put in front of you. And the other thing is the networking. I think when you guys brought up the social media for the last 10 years, I think that's big. I also think MTE is a big thing. I don't know how long MTE's been going on, but I think it's less than 10 years. I've been the last 3 or 4 years. I think that's a big bonus to the industry. And I think the overall hail market itself is cutthroat. It's tough. But if you learn how to fix cars and you do your job, you do what you say you're going to do, you'll make money and be successful.
Yeah, right on, man. I'll tell you what, that's one of the things, this is Paul, by the way, that's one of the things I learned early on that was drilled into my head was, do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. And, it's a real simple concept, but it becomes difficult at times in practice. And I don't know, you guys may have seen it, but I think I had posted at one point, talked about killing the competition in my area by just doing simple things like answering the phone, returning phone calls, and being nice, friendly to people, being patient with them on the phone.
Yeah.
And it's some of those simple things, I think, that net us the business over the competition. And, I mean, Dan, I think you're right on, man. Just do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. Be a person of integrity and character. And, before long, they're going to be coming to you begging you to do the work. And that sounds cliche. It sounds, a little bit too good to be true, but it really does end up being true in the end. You may have to be patient for it, like Jeremy was saying. It's not going to happen in 2 weeks, but shoot, man, you work on a dealership for 6 months or a year or 2 years even, and eventually they will realize, what value you bring to the table, and they'll want to do business with you. And hopefully you're there to be able to do it.
Yeah, I think also the thing is, the big thing is network with guys that you want to network with, but don't undercut them. People that are your competition can be your friend too. Like John Hiley, he started me some work, I started him some work. We butt up to each other. We could be competitors if we wanted to be. There's no reason to be.
Right.
Keep prices up, do business the right way. I know, the beginning of the season was a really slow start, and there was a small storm in Kentucky, and I was on the phone with Lou Freeman, which is Jeremy's partner, and they were sitting in the hotel room, and we just happened to stumble across each other's viewing patterns of the radar, and next thing I know, I'm on the phone with Lou at midnight talking about a storm that had just hit and who was going to go check it out the next day. And if it had damage, we were going to work together. Now, we already had that figured out before we got there. We weren't going to go in there and hang signs up and say free deductibles and this and that. And, you know, there's ways to go into town to make money without giving the farm away. So.
Oh yeah.
But
absolutely.
Yeah, we've been doing it in South Carolina for 3 months. You know, we come down there, teamed up with Shane Jacks at a deal, and then, you know, well, there's 4 retail companies, you know, and this is the hell side, of course, you know. So we've got 4 companies. Well, we're the first one set up. We're the first one working. You know, we did land a couple body shops also. And then here comes the guys with the free deductible and the half of the money back. And, you know, they just got to the point to where they wasn't writing an estimate. They would take your insurance paper. They would divide it by 2 and then give you half the money back. And that's what I compete with. That's what I competed with for a month. And then finally, you know, that group of guys got run out of town because the lien holders, where this is a smaller town, there's a lot of buy here, pay here, wouldn't sign a checks because of the poor quality of the repair that was being done, you know, and the guys left town. And then now we're booming again, you know, which we never stopped because we had constant flow of body shop cars at our retail shop also. But, you know, like Dan said, it's quality. I mean, if you do the right thing and you tell somebody, hey, this is what I'm going to do, this is the way it's going to look, this is what it's going to cost, you know, you have nothing to worry about. I'm going to walk you through this. It's going to be easy, open and shut door. You know, people like that, and that word will spread. And when that word spreads, you know, their friends will come. And, you know, not everybody wants the half-price deal, you know.
Now, I'm going to bring in another caller here. I had to put Dan-O on hold there, Dan, and please stay with us because we're going to bring you back here. I just didn't want to get too many people online at the same time. But we want to go ahead and bring in another caller here. This person has been waiting for about 12 minutes. Hey, you're on air with Dent Trainer Radio. Hello, can you hear me? All right, yeah, sounds like we got a bad connection there, guys. All right, yeah, okay. Gonna have to call on a landline or something. We can't hear anything you're saying there. All right, so Jeremy, now I noticed that you have a retail location set up in an area that hailed outside of South Carolina. How's that going for you? Going into building and things like that, has that been a good move for you? Is that working out good?
Yeah, it's done pretty good. I mean, I've done hail. That's what I started. You know, I started doing hail when I was 19 years old. You know, I'm 32 now, and I did it before I did anything. You know, so I kind of had that down. We started doing retail. You know, basically that deal in South Carolina, like I was touching base on earlier, it was a great deal for about 2 weeks. And then, you know, you get your people that lack the sales skill to estimate, to look at a customer and say, hey, you know, this is what it's going to cost. It needs a supplement, instead of just doing it for that price and or discount that price, you know. And but overall, it's done really well. I mean, we've done I guess it's started Memorial Day. It held there, or the weekend of Memorial Day or whatever, and we've been there for like a month and a half, you know, and we've probably done about 100 cars, you know, in a month and a half.
Oh, that's nice.
And yeah, I mean, there's 4 of us in the retail shop. You know, of course, me and Lou, you know, we tag team everything and split cars, and there's 2 other guys, and we got a couple body shops. But, you know, out of the retail shop alone, we've probably done right at 100.
You know, Jeremy,
which
something
is good
that
in a retail deal.
Right. You know, Jeremy, something that's been kind of like the big chatter out there, and I want to articulate on a little bit. People were talking about, and especially really surprised me, there was a gentleman who had a retail location and was having a problem with State Farm coming in there and saying, no, you're going to take whatever we give you. And, you know, I want to tell you guys a little bit something about, if you have your own shop, you have the power in your hands to make them pay you fairly. I'm gonna tell you what I do, okay? Somebody comes in, number one, I don't write estimates. somebody comes in and brings in their car, they give me that insurance paperwork, and they, sign off. They're doing the job. They're off in a rental car. They give it to me because they trust me, and they want me to fix their car. Now, I write up a fair estimate off of the matrix that has been so shoved down our throat. Hey, this is what you got to price it. So I write it off that matrix, and then I have an insurance company come in and give me problems with their own matrix. See, I have a big problem with that. I know you guys do as well. I have a big problem with that. I take it as a personal issue. I say, hey, we're now we're you're treading on it, and you're going to tell me that you're going to make me do this car the same as one of your DRP shops that leverage off of all your free advertisement? I don't think so. I don't leverage off your free advertisement, so I don't give you your free advertisement discounts. And so when that car comes in here and that customer gives me their paperwork, usually it has stuff called R&I items on it, maybe one panel that doesn't need supplemented. So I'll tell you what I do. I have the whole car broken down, everything. I have it sitting there waiting. I have the hood off on a stand. I have the deck lid all pulled apart. I've got the headliner dropped. I've got everything sitting there. And when that adjuster comes there and they tell me they want to, number one, here's what I've had actually happen before. They have gave me the prices I wanted on, like, the side panels, and they've lowballed me on the roof or something. Okay, all right, see you later. Give me the paperwork. I will do the side panels, and I'll resupplement the roof when I'm done with the side panels. And if they don't like it, they can have my bill, and they can take it somewhere else, and they can pay storage for the days that it sat there, and I waited for them to, supplement and write up the roof. So there's a lot of leverage on guys' side. I don't think they realize so much that when that car is there with you, you can charge the insurance company for everything that's written on that car, all the R&I, everything like that, if it's done in your shop. And then if they don't want to pay it and they want to take it somewhere else, have a nice $1,300, $1,400 bill waiting for them that it takes to tow it out of that shop.
Yeah, I've met people that don't know how to do a supplement. Like I think I listened to y'all last time talking about the importance of supplements. We haven't had any issues, in South Carolina as far as a State Farm. The biggest issue with them is the CAT team showed up and they wrote everything basically half price. And, I don't know when State Farm, I guess 2011 it held in my hometown in Bristol. And it's the same thing, it just bottlenecked every shop because I had 6 DRP shops and about 25 guys working, and every shop was bottlenecked within 2 weeks because they would write a $3,000 all PDR job,
right,
and you get it in, and it's just no windows, and it needs all 3 top panels and one rail done, and you're like, man, I mean, I even called my local adjusters and asked them, what's the deal? Well, it's the CAT team. They're bringing guys out of retirement. They're bringing flood adjusters. In South Carolina, we trained 3 adjusters that was sitting under that tent. Because we were actually set up where State Farm, our building was in the same parking lot as State Farm in South Carolina as their CAT team. And we went over to them and said, hey, instead of you having to supplement every car, let us help you. Let us help you not have to do that. And they actually they complied, and they come over, and one night after work, and we went over everything with them and showed them on their own matrix where the money should be, what an oversized dent was, because they were 3 guys that never ever done help,
Yeah.
And honestly, from that point on, every estimate I got was within $100, $200, and they actually, but for a month,
right,
they probably run I'd say 200, 400 cars, through that tent the first 2 weeks, and every one of them was half price, and
right.
But really with the supplements, we didn't have no problems. I mean, they would show up. Only problem we've had out of them was pre-existing hail damage. I guess it hailed in this town a couple of years ago.
Right.
Nobody has their receipt, So State Farm is knocking it in half. So whatever their last check was, they take out of this check, and not everybody in the town is it's kind of like they're implying anybody that don't have a receipt is a State Farm customer, and you can't produce a receipt for getting your repairs done 4 years ago, then we're going to give you your check minus the $1,500 worth of prior damage. And, I actually talked to one of the adjusters and said, well, how does this work? Because that guy didn't keep up with a piece of paper for 4 years, and most people don't keep up with one for 4 hours. how does
right.
that work? And that all you're doing is you're telling that customer they're going to have to pay another $1,400. They're not going to get this car fixed again, even if they didn't get it fixed the first time, because they ain't got $1,400 to put out of their pocket to fix it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem I've run into in this town, because they are really adamant about taking that money, because I've looked at 10 different cars and had to do 10 supplements on cars that they took $1,500 off of because of hail damage before, when you can plainly see it's not been through 2 hailstorms.
Now, is this State Farm primarily that's doing this, Jeremy?
This is the only. They're the only people doing it. I mean,
wow.
Nationwide, the nationwide adjuster come by yesterday. She told me we did a supplement on a van. She said, well, this thing had hail damage on it before. I questioned whether or not the lady fixed it. I said, well, I mean, that's between you and her. She's like, but I'm going to pay you what. And she paid me every dime I wanted and didn't question it. But then the same day, a State Farm adjuster comes by, and he took up, it was basically the $3,100 ticket, and they had wrote it for, I think the lady had a $600 check. We wrote it for $3,100 because they had knocked off the damage from before. Well, we ended up getting $1,900 for a $3,100 car to repair, and that's as much as he would give me. And I asked him, I said, well, so you're going to sit here and tell me that every customer in America that had hail damage, so you go to Texas where it hails every 6 months or every 2 months in the springtime, and you're just not going to pay them the money it takes to fix the car? And he's like, well, if they don't got a receipt, we're not going to. And I'm like, okay.
Well, that's more reason.
And that's basically
more reason to use a reputable company that's going to keep a receipt for you, later on down the road, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least remember you and say, sure, I'll cut you a receipt, because I know that I worked on your car at one point. But, something I found interesting, Jeremy, about Paul especially, is that he's starting to do a lot of insurance work on large damage. And, hey, Dan-O, you're still on there, and I want to bring you back in because I want to hear your take on this as well. So just hang tight on there. But, Paul, what's happening nowadays when you are actually, and this has been a hurdle for the PDR industry, but I do think it's going to advance us to the next level. If we can take some of these big, nasty dents that some of us are out here fixing, and we can bring the price up to where it really needs to be. Paul, what's the issues and the hurdles that you're having when it comes to supplementing deer hits or stuff like that?
Well, I'd say the first and most obvious hurdle is just the disbelief on the side of the insurance adjusters. I got to tell you, I feel your pain, Jeremy, because I just recently had a conversation. This is relative, and that's why I think it's worth going into. I had a conversation with a body shop owner recently, just shooting the breeze after I fixed a car that he had, and he said, I've been in this business for 38 years. He said, and when I first ran into PDR, it was a hailstorm, and I want to say it was like 2000. And he said that was the first time I ran into PDR, and he said I found it out the hard way because I had people bringing their cars in for conventional repair, and I was competing with the PDR guys. He said, but I was noticing that every single estimate was coming in 50% or less of the value of the repair, or the cost of the repair. And he said he finally got to hear one of the adjusters, and he said, hey, listen, every single one you sent over here, I got a supplement, and I'm virtually doubling or more your initial estimate. What's the deal? I can't fix a $5,000 car for $1,500, so why are you writing up for $1,500? Why don't you just write the full ticket? And she said, you know what? Because almost 50% of the customers are going to take the money and walk.
Yeah.
And the insurance companies know that, and the insurance companies say, why am I going to write a $5,000 check to a customer who might take it and walk and pocket that $1,500? So they know that, and honestly, what I hear you saying, Jeremy, is basically they've discovered a new way to net themselves more of the premium by not paying out for this, what sounds like a great excuse, previous hail damage.
Right.
And on the surface, that's a great excuse. You're absolutely right. But in reality, you and I both know that it doesn't matter whether it's had previous damage or not. It's still going to have to be repaired, and it's going to have to be repaired to a level of quality that we deem as acceptable, as representatives of the PDR industry, and that just costs money. That's just how it goes. But anyway, so that's the first hurdle is getting over helping to educate and helping these adjusters understand that we are able to fix it. I've had some very good success with the Geico reps in my area, and have and regularly get side damage work from them at this point.
Right.
I recently did one. You forgive me because I don't know who the insurance company was, but let me put it this way. There's a body shop that I service. I service all the body shops in our area, and they sent over a car. The manager brought a car over, BMW 3 Series, big flat dent in the door. As a matter of fact, I have video I need to post. I haven't posted it yet. And it left like this eyebrow. It's a funky repair. And the manager brought it over and said, "Hey, do you think you can fix that?" And I said, "I can fix it. I'm going to have to pull the door off, and here's the price." And, he talked with his buddy, and he said, they talked about how can we conventional repair for that price. And what it turns out that it was an insurance job. I'm sure that they netted some overage, but in his words, the insurance company, they don't care how it gets repaired. They want it repaired for the lowest cost is really what it comes down to. They don't care much about the quality of the repair, the value that our repair brings as opposed to conventional repair. And what I'm having to do now is really try to educate my customers who are making insurance claims and say, listen, make sure that you express to them that you want paintless dent repair because of X, Y, and Z. And there's a good long list of reasons why, the value of our repair is superior to other options.
Now, Paul, are you saying that you are actually going after more money than what it would cost to do body repair on that specific panel?
Here's what I do.
On some occasions?
In full disclosure, I put the money on it that I know that I need and want.
Right.
And there's the insurance company, because you can either drop it or they can take it. On 3 occasions, I'll tell you this, on 3 occasions so far, over the last 2 years, I have gotten paid more money from the insurance company on a supplement request than they originally wrote for a conventional repair. And one of them was originally written $1,700 conventional repair. I put $2,700 on it, and I got $24.
And this is not hail, guys. We're talking about a large dent repair. And in my opinion, what you're doing down there, Paul, that's something that's revolutionary for the industry because, I have a retail shop, and I'm not doing anything like that. Granted, we get a lot of hail, and we do a lot of hail out of here, and we do body repair, and, we do, about like Jeremy, we do everything. But what you're telling me here is very, very interesting, and I think it's going to be a progression in our industry here, and we're actually experiencing with you, man, so I really appreciate that.
Right on. No, it's absolutely revolutionary, and I think we're starting to tap into a market, so to speak, that we haven't seen previous to, I haven't seen previous to of late. And I'll tell you what, it will come with headaches. I'll give you a great example. Just had a customer come in, hail damage repair, direct repair from the insurance company to us. I supplemented the moldings. I was just bogged down at the shop. I didn't have time to do moldings. I don't even want to touch moldings. So I subbed it to a body shop that's near our shop. And we are now, in this case, subbing it to the body shop, working in reverse. It used to be that everything was subbed to the PDR companies, right? Right. And we had to worry about giving the body shops their percentage.
Right.
Now that's happening in reverse. And
the table has turned.
I ended up with like that. I forgot that they get their 25 and 30% on me. I forgot to ask for 25 or 30% from them on their work.
Right.
So the whole system is kind of getting flipped up on its head, and it's going to come along with some, administrative hurdles and a little bit of extra headache for the guys who are writing paperwork and talking to the adjusters and dealing with the body guys. But I love what's happening because I think it's proving that the PDR industry is not just valuable for what it does, but it's even more valuable than we have ever believed before. And if any of you guys watch my posts on Facebook, I'm constantly saying that. We have no idea what we're worth. And if when we get that, we could be the primary repair providers for insurance companies and customers alike.
If you don't mind, Paul, I want to give everybody a shout out here what our call-in number is, and we do got a call that I want to take as well. The guest call-in line here, guys, I'm sorry I haven't said this as often as I need to, but it is 646-564-9966. Hang in there, Dan-O. We'll be right with you. I'm going to go ahead and take a caller here. Hey, you're online with Dent Trainer Radio.
Yellow.
Hey, yeah, who are we talking to here?
No, I was just saying.
Oh, that was you.
See if there's anybody there, man. Well, I'll tell you, well,
hold on. That sounded like me.
Yeah, hey, I don't know that accent, man. I don't know what it is. I still have them actually online here. Are you with me? Yeah, we're still trying to figure out this platform here, but I think some fellas, I'm going to go ahead and put him on hold. And let's go ahead and bring Dan-O back in here, but I think some of the fellas calling in here, they might not realize that they're on queue. And, in fact, that person just disappeared. So I'm going to go ahead and bring – probably got on and had a deer in headlights moment there. Hey, Dan-O, you with me?
What's up, guy? Yeah.
Hey, my friend. I want you to tell us a little bit about some of the things you might be dealing with down there. I know you're in Ohio right now, and you're working at some beat-up type stuff. Now, have you had any problems in working in the body shop? Are you in a DRP situation? What's going on down there with you? And have you had problems with the insurance companies, supplementing, stuff like that?
I am in a body shop. I am in a non-DRP body shop. So best case scenario, they are not a DRP for anyone.
Right.
The day I showed up, I had a short meeting with the body shop manager, asked their workload, and asked how much he wanted me to basically go up against the insurance companies. Because anybody that's worked in body shops knows some body shops want you to fight for money, other ones want you to roll over.
Right.
This body shop manager told me to get absolutely every penny that I could get. So that's what you want to hear as a Hail technician.
It's a man of my own heart there, yeah.
Yeah. So
I love them body shop guys. Sorry, I just love that attitude, Go ahead, Dan.
I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere, so it's a little bit different than the metro area. We're actually getting a lot of supplements that are just getting approved via phone. We fax them. I break down a scope sheet, what I call it, which basically gives panel price of each panel, everything like that. They fax it over to them. A lot of them are getting approved over the phone. The only issue I have had is State Farm. It kind of seems to be the norm over the last couple of years. Had a State Farm adjuster come in. He explained to me after looking at my estimate that he cannot pay me those prices. I asked him very politely why. He handed me his State Farm matrix, and I informed him that this is not a DRP shop. I am subcontracted employer. I personally have my own matrix, which any guys listening that do not have their own matrix need to take the time to produce one. Because if you don't have a lot of fighting power. So I have my own matrix with my letterhead on it. They're laminated. I offer it to every adjuster that comes in, and I show them where my prices come from. He then proceeded to pay me on everything I asked for because I told him if he did not, as soon as he left, we would resupplement, like you talked about earlier. Other than that, I've had no issues. I charge $50 for each oversized dent. No pushback on that. I have 25% included in my matrix prices. I don't upcharge it. They're already included for rails, bed sides, cab sides, tailgates on trucks, roofs on SUVs, vans, trucks, wagons, aluminum, high-strength steel, all that stuff. The car I'm working on now, I think is $7,200 PDR, complete. I got $1,400 on the hood, $1,700 on the roof, $1,300 on the deck, $750 on a rail. The other rail's $450, and then so on and so forth.
I've seen some of that stuff down there, Dan. So I believe it, man. That was some pretty heavy hit stuff down there you're working.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's frustrating when you see all these guys complaining about not getting money on panels. I think a lot of it has to do, one, they haven't done their work prior to hail season. Like I said, you have to have your own matrix. You have to have your letterhead. You have to have your forms to fax into insurance companies. All that stuff gives you ammunition.
And we do have all that on denttrainer.com, just to let everybody know. And you can also get a copy of a matrix on pdrnation.org. It's free there. You can just go to a PDR matrix and you can download a copy, and you can actually draft your own, like Dan-O is suggesting. So anyhow, Dan, go ahead. I just want to throw that in there because I know some of the guys probably be interested in that.
Yeah, and it's, you can get the money on panels, and I get, I get over conventional pricing every week on stuff. The $850 rail, can they paint it for cheaper? Sure they can.
Put a bunch of Bondo in it.
Yeah. Is the body shop bottleneck? Absolutely. Is the car going to sit here for a month if they need to cut a roof off? Yep.
Let me tell you what gets me. 2 days, Dan-O, let me tell you what gets me about that matrix, okay, is because the matrix is so perfect when you hit the sweet spot, okay? There's this sweet spot on the matrix where it's about like a $3,000 to $4,000 car, and it's beautiful at that sweet spot. But, man, when you start going up to the $6,000, $7,000 cars, you're talking about 10 times the amount of work. I mean, because here's how it goes. It goes like this. It goes, 35 to 50 dent or 30 to 50 dents at 225 or 325, and then it goes 50 to 100 at 425. So you end up doing double the amount of dents for half the cost, and it just keeps going down the bigger and the further you go up that matrix. That's always been one of my biggest problems with it, because it just seems like when you're doing a 200 dent roof, you're just much better off hitting that nice sweet spot that's in the the beautiful hail cars that we see, that the hail fairy came and sprinkled a little ding on about every panel. Maybe 5 on the roof. I like them dents that are just slightly oversized, I mean, it's what like an oversized dent is. Somebody like a double oversized, somebody put a hammer down on it. Them are, hey, we're going to get them, but I like the ones that just slightly protrude over the size of a 50-cent piece.
Yeah.
And
to be completely honest with you, everything over a quarter, I write oversized. There really is no half dollar size. There is on my matrix. Do I ever write anything $50? The only time I write anything $50 when I max out a panel. But anything that's larger than a quarter, I write oversized every time.
Well, look at
it's just
and a $50 is 1 1/4 inch. 1 1/4 inch. I mean, you rarely even see a door ding that walks in your thing that's over 1 1/4 inch in diameter. I think a lot of guys are leaving a lot on the table because they're not putting their light back at a tight reflective angle and measuring the actual how far the door ding or the hail damage projects from top to bottom. Do a little favor, all you guys out there that's writing hail damage and listening out there, and you're out there writing hail damage, I want you to do a little favor. Take your light at a real tight reflective angle. Circle that thing, okay? Big circle around it, and then put a little notch at the very furthest part you see it stretch out on one side, and put a little dot at the very furthest you see it stretch out on the other side, and put a 50-cent piece on it. I guarantee you 9 times out of 10 that dent that you thought was quarter size is slightly oversized.
You know what, John? This is Paul. I would be happy if all those hail guys and every retail tech would do that on just one estimate. If they just did that on one estimate and they would realize how many dents are actually oversized, I think they'd be surprised. I'll tell you what, the other thing I would love to see guys do is start actually counting the dents instead of just estimating. I can't tell you how many times I've had estimates come in. You guys all know this. I mean, they come in with half of the damage written up. You know what I mean? And then you start counting all of them, and you go, no, here's an accurate count, Mr. Adjuster. This is what I actually counted, And then they start going, well, I didn't know that. But hey, I wanted to touch on one quick thing that you guys were just talking about. Dan, I think that part of the problem,
I had to take Dan-O off for a moment, so let me know when you want him back on. That was where our tapping was coming from, Mr. Dan-O-Dents. You guys
Well,
noticed the tap. I was wondering, I was like, is that Dan or is that Jeremy? It sounded like Jeremy was wrestling with a cabinet or something earlier.
I'm eating pizza, brother. I mean, I'm being fat.
Yeah.
That man's working.
So, but yeah,
I
could.
Just gonna touch.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, bring Dan in and let Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
All right.
Well, I was just gonna say.
You're back in, Dan.
I was gonna comment on what Dan was saying. I think part of the problem is that, truthfully, part of the problem is that I think dent guys are afraid to price. I think we don't realize it. And I'll tell you, I think I've noticed it more so with the older guys. The guys who were doing door dings back in the day for, 55, 30, 30, 30, although that's still pretty decent pricing, but we've never imagined pricing, a quarter panel at, $1,000. For a side damage car, or a hail car that hit 7,000 or 8,000 back in the day was like ridiculous,
But
from
Paul,
what I can remember.
But Paul, just that's what ticks me off is that people, our techs, we keep going down right. Pricing. You know what I mean? And nobody's visually taught, and people need to take some business, because you can't consistently go down every year in prices. Oh, my lowest competition is going to do every car for $50. I better do it for $45.
Right.
Man,
right.
You're an, excuse my language, but you're an idiot. I mean, if you raised your prices 2% every year at the dealership, say, look, I got to raise my prices. It's 2%. Okay, cool. You decide 3 years later, 4 years later, you got to raise it 10%. You're fired. You know what I mean? People respect people who are in business, make a lot of money. Respect people who are in business with other smart business people. You've got to learn to raise your prices, retail and wholesale. You cannot continue to be at $50 10 years later per car. I guarantee you'll not have a life where you get sick of your job, you get pissed off, you will not have any motivation to work anymore, and you'll just go downhill. So,
well, let me say this. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
I was going to say, no, you're absolutely right. I'm right there with you, and that's why I think the education of the PDR techs in the industry right now, hail and retail, is super huge for guys to get and understand what value they bring to the table and what it's worth, and that it's worth a lot more, in my opinion, than it used to be. Because again, like we've talked about, the tools, the training is so much more advanced than it was 15 years ago, that we can produce better stuff and bigger stuff and do it faster than ever before. I would say a good case in point on that very, very topic, Mike, is how, I know for me, in my experience, there have been many times when I've had a customer come in and we'll quote them a price on retail side damage, and they will go, whoa, you are, twice the price of the guy down the street that I got an estimate for. And, right there at that crux, you got two ways to go. You're either going to negotiate with the customer and you're going to try to match the other guy's price to some degree, maybe not come down and match it exactly, or you're going to hold the line and you're going to go, listen, here's what I offer, this is what I do, this is what I know I can produce, and basically you're selling at that point, selling yourself. And I'll tell you that most of the customers, probably 9 times out of 10, will say, I decided to go with you, I'd rather pay for quality. And it's a weird, it's like a brain ninja thing. You know what I mean? Because in our minds as the seller, we're going, but if I stick to my guns, they're going to bail and go with the cheaper guy, right? But believe it or not, I think the quality of customer that we want, especially me as a retail tech, and I would imagine in the hail world, to some degree, the types of customers that we want are the ones who are going to care about the quality of the result. And they're the type of people who are willing to pay more to get a better quality of result. And they're the type of people who also understand when you have to RNI a door panel or, a door itself, or, whatever the case may be. And so it actually works the opposite of, I think, what most techs think is going to happen. What happens is the opposite of what they think is going to happen, which is the customer decides, if it's the kind of customer that we want in this, luxury service retail dent world, that they're going to go with the guy who seems to be the most educated about what he does, seems to be confident what he can do, and his price reflects that. I would rather be known as a super expensive guy than be down there with everybody else playing the game of price match.
Right. I 100% agree on that, Paul. That's what I tell people. And you got to pick your market. Which market do you want to be in? There's room for both markets. Which one do you want to be in? You want to be in the low-end market and have more problems and deal with more picky people? Or you want to work smarter and not harder and pick up your high-end market? Because you could charge more, work less, or you could work double and deal with more problems. I just say if you want to be cheap, you're going to end up getting more problems, and you're going to be mad at yourself because you undersold yourself, and then you're mad because you're worth, in the long run, your value of what your skill is and the suffering that you learned and the experience that you went through. Isn't that hold some kind of value? Are you telling yourself you're not worth that cost that you really want to charge the customer? That's what you're telling yourself. You know what I mean? So
well, and truthfully, the tail wags the dog. I mean, you guys know this because you've probably been there long enough that we don't let the customer and the market determine our pricing. I mean, there are people who do. Let me put it that way. For me, I determine what kind of quality of customer and quality of cars and quality of jobs that come through the door based upon my pricing. For instance, right off the bat, when you are minimal charging $150 for a door ding on a side panel, dime to quarter in size, you are going to weed out certain types of cars, certain types of customers. That's just a fact. It's not a knock on anybody. It just is the way that it is, right? And truthfully, we get to determine, the greatest part about this job is we get to determine what kind of money we make. We get to determine what kind of customers we serve. We don't allow, and many guys do, I personally do not allow my customer or the market to tell me what I can get paid on a certain job or on a certain car. But that does take a level of salesmanship, a level of confidence, and it also takes a level of fulfillment. I mean, if you're going to be that kind of tech, you've got to produce. You've got to do what you say you can do, and you've got to know how to sell it. And I know many of you guys know that, but some of the techs out there, they're not of the understanding that they can control the quality of customer that they get and the amount of money that they make. And truthfully, they can.
Now, salesmanship, this is Jeremy, sorry.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Me, to touch on that, I'm sorry. Salesmanship, in a retail market. Here I went, it was $50 to start off. That's what all these guys priced it. And, we up mine every year. Ours is $125. We don't get Porsches. I live in the middle of the mountains. There's nothing nice here. You know what I'm saying? Paul, you're in Virginia, so I'm Southwest Virginia in the coal fields. You know what I'm saying? There's four-wheel drive trucks. There's nothing, nothing where I can really kill it on aluminum panels, aluminum doors. But, I have customers all the time, $125. Well, man, this guy said $50. I said, okay, well, does that guy advertise? Does that guy do this? I mean, what I want you to do, and a lot of times on a customer, I say, you call the body shops in your area and you ask them, just ask them, hey, what paintless dent repair company do you use? And, probably 8 out of 10 calls you make is going to say, hey, we use direct paintless, especially in our area. And in that right there, like you said, it weeds out, the customers that you don't want, because a lot of them you don't, I mean, I get it all the time here. Well, so-and-so said $50. Well, I would get a $50 repair. I was like, it's basically less than half price, and not to knock whoever it is, but, I feel like I'm worth more money than $50, and I'm not going to take my time to unload my truck for that, and that's not to be, sounding like, smart aleck, but that's just the point,
Well, a plumber wouldn't even, a plumber.
That's right.
A plumber wouldn't even unload his tools for that, and there's thousands of them in every city. Exactly. So go ahead, Jeremy. I'm sorry.
Well, it's just like me and Mike talked. Mike did my website, did a great job on it. And, he was asking if I wanted to go mobile from person to person, and do retail. And I said, no, I can't. We're too busy doing wholesale. I make them come to me. Because the problem here is I would have to charge them at least a $50 service fee to go to their house. And then you add $125 for a starting panel, then they're going to already be out. $175 for a dime-sized dent, no way. And that's why I just made them, I make them come to me or my retail shop here in town and or to one of the dealers we're servicing, but at the same time, they, when they ask me, why can't you come to my house? Well, do you want to pay me $50 to drive in your driveway? Well, no. That's why I'm not coming to your house. Will you pay a plumber that? Yeah. Well, what's the difference?
Yeah.
You know, he's fixing. I can come to your house for $50 and actually fix your sink because I know how to do that too. You know, I can do that. You know, but then I can fix your car for $200 outside. You know, I mean, there's no difference. I mean, and that's the thing. People think because for so many years, everybody's gave it away. You know, and it's just lack of salesmanship. You know, a lot of laborers in every market go, well, the best way to sell is to be the cheapest.
Yeah,
no,
right.
That's the best way to work your butt off your entire life and never be on top. And I would rather be on top with less trauma to my body opposed to be in the middle with everybody else. You know, and that's just that's the way I look at it. I don't know, you know, how everybody else. I preach to everybody. I want everybody to do as much as possible, you know, make as much money as you can. I told Mike last night, do I want to be the best dent guy? Yeah, I want to be good, but I want to be the highest paid dent guy.
Yep.
You know, ultimately, that's the thing. It's all about the end. The end thing is getting paid. You know, and we do really well because we do really well quality. You know, me and Cody do great quality in this area. You know, that's what we're known for. If it's fixable and it says paintless dent repair on the estimate, then we can fix it. If we can't fix it, nobody can. And we have insurance adjusters say that. You know, State Farm in Virginia, they call me, you know, for like you said, deer hits. They call me all the time on deer hits because they'll get a body shop estimate for, you know, $1,500, you know, and I'm kind of reverse of Paul. I'll do that job for $500 or $600 because I can do that job in a couple hours, you know, and they don't, and I'm okay with that, you know, but I've never tried. I've never tried to hit a deer hit at what a body shop.
I'm right with you there, Jeremy.
You know?
But I want to hit it
I've never
for that.
done it.
Hey guys,
but I want to hit it for that.
I just want to give you guys a heads up. I've got to take off, guys. But
no way.
Listen,
hey, we'll
Paul,
ride this
Paul,
wave.
Jeremy, Dan-O, and John, thanks a lot, guys. It's been an awesome show so far for me. So I don't want to cut you guys short. I know you guys got maybe one or two more topics to talk about, but
guys, yep.
I'll catch up with you guys later on next week. Okay, so thanks, guys.
Thanks,
all right,
Mike.
It's a pleasure, brother.
Take care.
Later, Mike.
All right.
See you,
Bye bye.
All right, fellas, we got 15 minutes to roll on this. We'll go ahead and articulate a little bit more about this, guys. We got 15 minutes left in the show. The last 10 minutes, we are going to figure out the winner of the Dent Trainer T-shirt. So you want to go ahead and pick up there where you left off, Jeremy? I'm going to bring Dan-O back in as well.
I got ADHD so bad I don't even know what.
Oh, that's all right, Jeremy. Hey, you with us, Dan-O?
I am. I'll lay off the knockdown for 15 minutes. So.
Please,
yeah,
God.
we're right at the end. So, Dan-O, let me ask you your perspective. Did you ever get into the door dinging market? Or, I mean, how did you start learning how to begin pricing hail? Was it just other guys, or did you get some sort of video support, something like that, to learn how to start writing estimates proper?
I basically kind of had an apprenticeship under a hail technician by the name of Mike Kreiner. He's from Indianapolis area. 2011, when hail was everywhere, it hit one of my accounts. That was the first time I had ever done hail. Was in 2011, and he basically, I was completely clueless. Had no clue. I thought nickel quarter-size dents were dime-size dents, and had no idea. So he held my hand on that, and then I just kind of ran with it from there. But I am definitely not afraid to ask for big numbers. The worst that can happen, it's easy to say, but the worst that can happen is you can go down. You can't go up.
Right.
These cars down here, I'm basically maxing out every panel. And some of the panels I'm fixing, I shouldn't be fixing, not because of quality, just because, I'm spending a day on a roof, which, and I'm not talking an 8-hour day, I'm talking sometimes a 14-hour day. I've been working 16-hour days for 2 months almost. So, some of this stuff's hammered, but on the other panels that aren't hammered as bad, I'm still getting replacement costs because, everything's just hit hard. But the pricing that really gets me is the side panels. Guys are okay, it seems like, with putting $1,000 on a roof or, whatever.
Right.
But when it comes to rails and doors and stuff like that, to me, those are the hardest panels to fix on the vehicle. So why not get the premium money on them? I don't like fixing doors because the tops of them a lot of them are all glue pole, and when you're fixing heavy side damage, it just takes time. But body guys don't like conventional doors either because they always look like crap, and the customer sees it. So don't be afraid to ask $500 for a door, $550 for a door. You'll be surprised at how many times you get it. When we were in New Orleans last year, we were doing $1,000 rails all the time. Because everybody was bottlenecked. It doesn't matter if conventional is cheaper. If they can't conventional repair it, it's not cheaper because that customer is going to be out of their car and in a rental car for a month and a half. So don't be afraid to go. Don't be afraid to go over conventional pricing and to relay that to the adjuster. I mean, you don't have to be, you don't have to be mean-spirited about it or treat them like they don't know what they're talking about. Just explain the situation, and 9 times out of 10 they give you the money. So.
One of the things that you're not, real quick, one of the things you're not tapping on, Dan, is the adjacent panels and painting into 3 panels. Most of the time for you guys who might not be body shop men out there or understand the body shop process, if they're replacing a door skin, they're painting usually both panels on both sides. So you're talking about painting half of a car. I mean, that's a lot more than $500. You got to take into accountability of them blending panels. You got to take into accountability of all of that. And quickly, Paul, I'm going to let you go ahead and make a point on that, and then we're going to jump into our contest here. Got about 10 minutes.
No problem. I thought Dan made a good point that we don't often talk about, but in the insurance world, it really equals. I'd love to see the data on it, but it equals millions upon millions of dollars in cost to the insurance company. And that's the amount of turnaround time that we're doing on a hail car as opposed to a conventional repair, and the amount of money that the insurance company has invested in rental cars to the customer. If you just took that point alone, I would imagine they, if somebody had a good presentation, would be able to convince the insurance company that they're way better off in many, many cases having a customer's car PDR as opposed to conventional repair. And so that's just such a great point. That's such a, seems to be a minor point in the PDR world, but it means so much to the insurance world, and I don't think we take advantage of leverage that enough,
Absolutely, Paul. Yeah, that rental car is a big expense. They got I think it's Progressive that calls me every 2 days. Like, even if their estimate says that the cars are going to be there for 7 or 8 days, I get a call every 2 days from Progressive wanting to know the status. And they might as well just say, how much longer is this guy going to be in a rental car?
Right.
Hey, John, I was going to touch on something Dan said earlier about the
got a couple minutes here.
Yeah, the $50 dent. Allstate come to our shop a couple days ago, and they have done away with a $50 dent. He told me, basically what he's told me is Allstate has went to right in majority. So what they done, case in point, the hood we were repairing had 80 dents on. We wrote it for $80. That's what I always do. Go to the matrix, get it as high as I can. So basically what he done, instead of doing $50, because $50 don't exist, he wrote it for 50 quarter-size dents, or 50 nickel-size dents, but then wrote it for 30 oversized dents at $50 a piece.
So he matched your estimate.
He actually gave us more money. And I was like, well, how does that work? And he's like, well, I guess the Dent Wizard had gave him some magnets. He said, look at this magnet and tell me that this magnet is $50. It's oblong. And I was like, good call. He goes, I can't use this. He's like, and we all have meetings. He chases storms just like we do. And basically they've thrown away that 50-cent piece dent. And, everything that's a quarter now is oversized. And we actually get Allstate. I've never got good money out of Allstate. I've always had to argue my point. But now, down there in South Carolina, we're just killing it on the Allstate cars because, we come in and we write majority just like they do. And it just make them happy. Insurance guys don't want to be cussed. I have a lot of guys that want to argue. No, don't argue with them. Just pat them on the back of their head, make them feel good about themselves, and send them down the road, That's basically it. You just got to be nice. It's salesmanship,
Right,
hey, we want to work with you, and go that way.
Right. You got to be nice, but you got to be to the point as well. So you got to let them know that you're not going to allow them to walk on you, but you got to do it in a polite, friendly way. And there's a way to do that. And you don't have to, just because you're standing up for yourself doesn't mean you have to be mad or yelling or angry. And I don't agree with that in any situation. I mean, you can be firm and just tell them what you want and tell them how it's going to be politely. And you can do it in a way where people won't get offended and angry and burst out in a fight in your shop. So
right on.
Yeah, they don't want to fight me in my shop.
I don't know, man. I've seen some pretty big adjusters there in my time, Jeremy.
Yeah, I have too. The one I was talking about, the big ex-Marine, and he's a large. And I'm like, no, that's fine. No, yeah, majority rules. Yes, sir.
Bring me back out for a supplement, son. I'm gonna have you. Well, all right, guys, and to move on, this was a great conversation. I want to tell you guys, and if I don't get a chance to say it here at the end because we're getting tight on time, but I want you guys to help me pick the winner of this competition here that we had on our Facebook page. And you guys have been all great to have on. Dan-O, wonderful. All you guys, Jeremy here, Paul Kordon, Jeremy Carroll, and Dan-O-Dents here. Dan Ostrov. Yeah, the Lowlife. You
got to throw that in there, because if you throw that in there, nobody even knows who I am.
Jeremy, the Lowlife, and it's because you got some sweet low riders. But guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into this deal that we have here. Asked about the different innovations in the industry, and all you guys spoke on them. So, Paul, what's your innovation quickly?
Yeah, I've been giving it some
LED
thought.
lighting.
I gotta say, I think the openness of social media within our industry and how it's been used in many ways, it's got to win it for me.
Okay. And what about, all right, Jeremy, what about you?
Man, I thought about it, and I come in halfway through the conversation, and I'm probably going to go with social media. I mean,
right.
I never even thought about it until you brought it up, and I was like, that I would have known any of you guys. You know what I'm saying? And seen this stuff if it wasn't for it.
Right. Okay, and Dan, are you with us?
I still am, man. I 100% agree with social media. Like Jeremy just said, I mean, it's kind of bands everybody together, especially on the hail trail. And even not about making money. It's when you're away from your family and you're just looking for some support and some chill time. Even that aspect of it is important in this business, and it's an awesome tool on the road.
Right, absolutely. And, a lot of people are using Twitter and things like that to find hailstorms by doing keyword searches, things like that. I mean, there's just so many angles within social media. And I got to tell you, for Dent Trainer, our new launch, I mean, Facebook has been amazing to connect with all these folks. And we do have a couple different winners here. I'm going to explain to you. We have Will Rowland, who was the very first person who put a post about social media. And right as he was posting, believe it or not, Ding Guy over there, Dave, he was making an exact similar post. And he even had to state there that the guy beat him to it. So they were basically both typing at the same time. So Ding Guy Dave and Will Rowland, you guys both get yourself a Dent Trainer shirt. We'll be shipping that out to you. Inbox me. I'll be making a post on our page. So, guys, we got 3 minutes and 50 seconds here. Would anybody like to make a final statement here?
Yeah.
Come on up, fellas.
PDR techs nationwide, internationally. Know what you're worth and charge accordingly. It's as simple as that for me.
All right. Jeremy, what about a finishing statement for you, buddy?
Man, basically it would be salesmanship.
Okay.
If you're not a good salesman, you're not a good people person, practice those skills. Once you get good, then you have to have the tongue to match your quality. And if you don't have that tongue and you can't sell your quality ain't going to mean nothing. If you can't tell the people how to do it, you know what I'm saying, and how you do it.
Right. And Dan-O, what you got for us here? Last, what would you like the audience to hear? Your final closing statement here.
Well, I think everybody knows that this occupation can be very lucrative, but it's not going to come easy. And just make sure that you work your ass off to do everything you can, the long hours, the quality work, everything that goes along with making the money, because it's not going to come easy. And, you know, a lot of people think that if they learn how to push a dent 90%, they can go around the country and make money. But just step up your game and work hard and make it the right way.
All right, guys. Well, it's been terrific having all of you on here. And we're going to go ahead and close out this second episode of Dent Trainer. Very interesting episode, guys. I think a lot of folks out there are going to love hearing this and watching it. We will eventually be taking these radio shows and converting them into podcasts that will be available on the iTunes store. So we're still in the process of doing that, guys, and we actually will be having right now we're in the mix of making a Dent Trainer app for your phone for our membership to be able to log in and surf through a mobile app. So it's still in the development phases, and a lot of great stuff coming here for Dent Trainer. We do have the Daniel Grom motorcycle tank video coming up here, and we have a oil can dent video that's happening here within the next month. We're going to be taking on the oil can dent video and showing all kinds of great stuff coming up. And anything at all, we do have estimating courses on denttrainer.com. If you like what you heard here today, you're going to love the website. So get over there and have a look at it. Check it out. We do have a free video available, so you can, let's just say, test the waters. If you go to denttrainer.com, you will be able to check out the free video there. It's on the home page. And, you know, take your chance to look around. We're only going to keep getting better. I think now we're up to about 170 videos inside of denttrainer.com, and we are just constantly building our library. We do have a business center. So for you folks out there who do want to build your business and learn a little bit about the business side of the industry, by the end of this week, we're going to have another social media video that's coming out. A lot of great stuff there for you. So this is John Hiley on Dent Trainer Radio. It was a pleasure having you here tonight on this live episode. So everybody, be well.
Hello everyone, my name is John Hiley and I am one of your instructors for denttrainer.com. Have you ever been frustrated with paintless dent removal? Are you interested in advanced repairs, motorcycle tanks, and hail-damaged vehicles? Or would you just like help marketing your business? If you have answered yes to any of these questions, then Dent Trainer is for you. With over 150 videos, denttrainer.com is the world's largest library of PDR tutorials, and we are just getting started. I would like to welcome you right now to join up and become a member and enjoy the benefits of this revolutionary educational platform. My name's John Hiley, and I approve this message.